Greetings everyone, I am glad to have your attention. My name is RedMaize and just recently, a reveal trailer for a fan-made fighting game starring the Hololive talents was released. It's called Idol Showdown, and the game has already garnered a lot of attention for its stellar pixel art and its sprite work. Not to mention the character portrait styles, which is absolutely fantastic. The defined black outlining, the expressions, the extra dark shading across each character's face and figure grasp the serious nature and demeanor of the characters, which is very much opposite of how we view the talents usually. The stage backgrounds, while only 2 were shown, are incredibly detailed and packed to the brim with Easter eggs and references of the Holo talents. I could not possibly name and point them all out even if I tried. But I will leave that up to you and the Hololive community to figure out and discover them for yourselves. Regardless, the quality on display here is, without a doubt, top-notch work. But while I can gush about the character portraits, the sprites, and even the stage background and music, I believe the trailer already speaks for itself and its quality and general art direction, so I don't believe it's necessary to go over that aspect in detail. What I want to do in this video is to break down the best I can the core element of this trailer, the fighting game. So let's take a look at that, shall we? Before we begin, I'm gonna have to assume that you are not familiar with fighting games, or FGs, and their terminology. I promise that whatever may sound silly, complicated, or even a little intimidating, it should still make sense to you. If at any point you hear a term that you don't recognize, then I highly suggest you check out the Fighting Game Glossary by Infill. It will have all the FG terms, strange or otherwise, that I'll be using in this video, such as the numpad notations, or Rekka, or for funny word's sake, meaty. Finally and ultimately, this is just my perspective, opinion, and prediction on this trailer. My current knowledge of fighting games is not incredibly vast. I can only speculate with what I know from playing them for the past few years. I don't know all things FG related because I myself am still learning them, even today as we analyze this trailer. Alright, let's get started. So what sort of fighting game will this fan game emulate or take inspiration from? Well, we won't really know for sure until a demo is available, but the safest guess would be that this game will be a 4-button fighter, with 3 attack buttons, light, medium, and heavy, and a special button, as it is common for beginner-friendly FGs such as Dragon Ball FighterZ and even DNF Duel to use this layout. Fighting games are already a niche genre to begin with, and I can only assume that even in a community as large as Hololive, only a small percentage are avid fighting game players or watchers. So it makes sense to use a layout that is easy to grasp, pick up from the get-go, and do fun, cool stuff, to accommodate for the majority of newcomers that are curious about the game. To support this, let's take a look at each talent's moves and combos that we see in this trailer. Let's start off with Korone and her first combo. This short combo looks to be 2 lights, 2 mediums, and 1 heavy, or numpad notation like this. The numbers indicate the direction in which the joystick or control pad is pressed, according to a keyboard's numpad, with 2 meaning to press down, and 5 is not pressing a direction at all. Combining the numbers with the attack buttons of L, M, and H, or light, medium, and heavy, and you get the combo sequence. It's simple and easy to execute, even for beginners, and it doesn't look too shabby for a basic combo, with the boxing gloves, teacup, and chainsaw. For our second combo, Korone hits Fubuki with what I presume is a launcher, which is typically down heavy or 2H. As you could probably guess, it launches Fubuki high into the air, which leads to a 4-hit air combo, presumably with a mix of lights and mediums, with the final hit possibly being a knockdown, but the video cuts away before we can see more. Looks to be pretty straightforward as well. Even more straightforward is our final Korone example, which is most definitely her super, as Fubuki is locked in place and taking a lot of hits from the assortment of items that Korone digs up, along with a Koronosuke throwing something. A potato, I guess. Interestingly, just as the super starts, there is a black and white window of the character's face and eyes, which I believe signals the activation of the super, as we see later with Fubuki's super. Again, pretty straightforward. Now we move on to Fubuki, who only has 2 things to show, but nonetheless has some interesting looking moves that we can inspect. Starting off with her combo, my best guess would be this. Certainly a step up in combo complexity compared to Korone's examples. Fubuki starts off with 2 hits with this mallet looking item, with the first hit obscured by video cut and the second hit which looks to be quite far reaching. Because we couldn't see the start of the first hit, I can't exactly tell if this 5M hits twice for the 1 button press or if it's 2 different buttons, but let's go with 5M hits twice for the time being. She then goes for 2H launcher followed by 236L or quarter circle forward light, which sends Fubuki up herself, following Korone with 2 hits before cancelling, indicated by the gold flash and slight pause during the combo, with 214M or quarter circle back medium, which is a Tatsu looking move, thus ending the combo. Quite flashy, and yet it is still relatively simple to execute. Finally, for Fubuki, we see her super, similar in activation to Korone's, with the character portrait of the eyes and face appearing, before it leads into a cinematic attack. She transforms into Kurokami before throwing a pretty large wave projectile that connects with Korone, which then leads into a flurry of attacks. Very cool to see. Now interestingly, we see Korone firing a projectile as well that gets cancelled out by Kurokami's ranged super, meaning that there's probably also projectile priority, where different projectiles have different levels of priority on what cancels out what projectile when used at the same time. Additionally, Korone's projectile could be her 5S or 236S, or standing special or quarter circle forward special. A general safe guess in that regard. Speaking of the special button, let's talk more about that, shall we? Let's backtrack to earlier on in the video for a bit. I mentioned that this FGA will probably be a 4-button fighter, and I've yet to talk about the 4th button being the special button. I believe that this projectile attack that Korone is doing will be linked to the special button, similar to how projectiles are performed in DBFZ. Now will all the talents have projectiles that will be performed in the same motion, and possibly other moves, sharing the same function and properties? Probably not. I'm leaning more on no right now. The special button in 4-button fighters are always very different from one another, but they tend to link to the core mechanics of the game itself. With DBFZ, it was a lot of ki blasts and lots of beam attacks. Basically everyone could do them. With DNF Duel, it was mana-based moves that erased recoverable HP and could be woven into long combos. Melty Blood type Lumina, a shield that led into a RPS or a counter offense. Different games that share the same special button function for their specific game mechanics. So then, what is Idol Showdown going to do for theirs? My guess is that the special button will be a character specific mechanic that will help individualize and express each talent's traits and personality as both a character and an archetype, which I believe is ideal because the holo talents are very distinct from one another in more ways than one, and that should remain a high priority for the devs. After some quick pans of the second stage to showcase, we then see Ayame doing 2 quite similar combos to each other but have different ends. First combo, best guessed is this. Yet again quite simple, but another step up in combo complexity due to the nature of the repeated inputs. After the first 3 hits of light, medium and heavy, Ayame does the last 3 hits with what I can guess is her Rekka. But I can't say for certain because the second step of a Rekka, the second 214M, looks awfully similar to her 5M. I've considered that she might be a reverse beat character, where her buttons can be pressed in any order freely, such as medium to heavy to light, instead of the usual pathway of light, medium and heavy. But it seems rather unlikely as 2 standing mediums at different points of the same combo should not be possible at all, at least from what I understand about reverse beat. So the Rekka route is the choice that I am most comfortable with. Ayame's second combo looks to be like this. After being launched, Sora falls into the moving ball of Ayame's, which carries both characters to the corner before it finishes, and Sora air techs, hinted by the white flash that appears over Sora. Whether that was an auto tech or manual tech in the air, I cannot say for sure right now. Now this combo I'm actually quite unsure about, especially the ender. My initial thought was that the last command from the combo was 236H, since the game clearly pauses, but there is no eye/face portrait that signals a super activation. So it has to be something else. It could simply be that the screen is zoomed in so much that the portrait is hidden off screen, but I simply do not have a comfortable answer right now. Now in the final stretch of the combo portion of the trailer, we now see Sora doing one setup combo, a summon, and her super. So let's go through each one by one. Starting off with the combo, best guess would be this. A more complex combo compared to the previous ones, despite being roughly the same length. Anyways, Sora starts off the combo with what looks like an overhead, as there's a swiping down motion from herself, which can sometimes be a visual indicator for such attacks, while the record disc by itself is probably an extension of her attack's hitbox. We then see her jump cancel forward into a cute jumping animation, before hitting Ayame with a JH, or a jumping heavy. The large downward angled swipe kinda suggests it being a heavy, as well as bouncing Ayame upwards when she hits the ground. Sora then hits her with 5H before completing her combo by setting up a music note projectile with 236S as Ayame attacks backwards. Now because the projectile didn't seem to put Ayame into blocking as soon as she stood up from attacking, it probably means that the projectile has a delayed attack when used, meaning that this combo was a setup for more ongoing pressure, as we can see Sora also dashing towards Ayame. This is definitely a flashy combo. Sure, we're sort of leaning into more complex combo structures, but it's also showcasing the possible depth that this FG will have, which is necessary to show for players who are in this game for the long run. Moving on, we then see Sora flash with a star symbol and a darkened screen, which suggests a slight pause, before a busy looking Achan walks into frame, with Sora then walking behind her. Firstly, the star flash for sure has to be an indication for an EX move. EX moves in other FG games have a clear indicator usually represented by a flash of some kind on the characters themselves, and are sometimes accompanied by a cinematic of sorts, hence this has to be an EX move. Finally, while Achan only walks forward, I can take a gander and guess that she may function somewhat similar to Faust's mini-summon in Guilty Gear Strive, where the summon walks around on screen but only activates when the opponent makes contact with it by standing near it or by attacking it. Lastly, we have presumably Sora's super. Since the previous talents earlier in the trailer had showcased theirs, it's a safe assumption for this to be one as well. We don't see the activation or the starting frames for it, but considering that Ayame is quite close to Sora initially, before being shifted into the spotlight, this could very well be a command grab super. Ayame is lifted into the air before many Ankimos, all armed with different weapons, descend upon the opponent, all while Sora does a cute little dance. Now as we wrap up this video, I do have to clarify that I am aware of the gameplay demonstrations that expand on the kits of each talent shown in this reveal trailer. It's all on the dev's Twitter page at Idol Showdown. Because I was so damn slow in making this, there's even the reveal trailer for the 5th character already, which is Botan. Heck, even now as I'm writing this, there may yet be another reveal trailer for the next talent. Regardless, I wanted to keep it within what the reveal trailer has given us as much as possible as to not influence my predictions. It's just a little personal thing, it wouldn't have changed much because we still don't have specifics and it would just be more to speculate about. So then, what's the takeaway from all this? Well, it is ultimately just a prediction on what I believe the game will play out to be and how it functions. But if anything, I hope that this video was a showcase of the sheer complexity and planning that goes into fighting games. Not as a deterrent to discourage people from picking up this game, or any FG for that matter, but as a form of info and appreciation for newcomers to the genre, and fighting game devs, especially the smaller team devs, and the hard work and time that they put into their games. This fan game, made by fans, for fans, has been in development for almost 2 years, and they are taking on one of the more niche genres in the gaming space that requires the most attention and care when it comes to character kits and the absolute nightmare that comes with balancing them. So to you Besto Game Team devs, I say this: you all are doing fantastic. Keep up the great work that you're doing. Your game has incredible potential, and the polished present is already shining through, graphic and gameplay wise. I, like many fans, are eagerly waiting for the release of your game, but please do take your time and do not rush. I may just be one small voice, but I truly wish you all the best with this title, and that you will gain an audience of not just the usual curious FG players, but even curious newcomers, both inside and outside of Hololive. And heck, maybe even the talents themselves. I'm sure Callie would be thrilled to give this a try. And to you who are watching, whether you're a veteran FG player or a newcomer that just wants to try the game out because your Oshi is here, I hope that you will stick around. Not just for the eventual release, but even for the process itself, the progress that's being made when the devs want to showcase more of it, because this game deserves your attention. Whether you're a Hololive fan or an FG fan, or even both. I hope we get to spar in the near future in Idol Showdown, and I am glad I've got your attention. My name is RedMaize, thank you very much for watching this trailer breakdown, and I will see you in the next video. Have a lovely day or night, and do take care.